Hi, my name is Keri Barnum. I'm the Executive Director for New Shelves Books, and we're here for Free Advice Friday, the hour every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, where we talk about book marketing, publishing, and really anything having to do with the business of being an author or publisher. We do accept questions live. You can join us at newshelves.com/FAF, or you can email in your questions to info@newshelves.com. I answer them live, and you can catch the replay on YouTube, and that is simply youtube.com/newshelvesbooks. We have quite a few questions in by email today, so I'm going to jump into those first because they were the first ones in. All right, the first one is for Wendy, who I know is joining us live. And Wendy had a question about a new program or website that is called Shepherd or Beta Shepherd. I've kind of heard it called both. But essentially, she was sent an email asking if she would be willing to join a program in which authors make reviews or recommendations for 5 titles. And in exchange, they are featured, they as an author, and one of their books is featured along with their reviews. And of course, they have opportunity to get their books reviewed as well. So there's no money exchange, but Wendy's wondering, is this worth it? Is this, is this legitimate? All of those good things. So this is actually very common. This is something that you're not paying for in money, you're paying for in time. It's not a scam as far as I can tell. It's not a scam. What it is it is incentivizing people to bring content to this website via exchange. So because we cannot swap reviews, let's say on Amazon, if we're doing you give me 5 stars, I give you 5 stars, that's actually against Amazon policy. What this website is doing is essentially trying to build up a review system, maybe a little bit like Goodreads, except for it's kind of got spots for authors and for readers, and it's incentivizing authors to leave book reviews and recommendations in exchange for getting their book featured as well. That's completely legitimate, and it's a way to get your content up online, to create SEO, and possibly to get new readers. And yes, it is free. They're not asking for money. This program right now, anyway, is not asking for money, but it does require your time because as far as I can tell, again, I haven't personally used it, but as far as I can tell, this program works off of authors reviewing or recommending 5 titles, which means they have to put the time in to do that. Will it pay off? I have no idea. I don't think it will hurt you if you have the time to put into it, but as far as what you'll get back in ROI or time investment, it's too soon to tell. This is a fairly new website, so it's not something that is super hopping. Will you get tons of information and reviews? Will you get tons of readers? I just don't know. And I am going to drop the link right into the chat box. It's shepherd.com if you are an author kind of looking to expand your network or possibly kind of get your book featured on new websites. It's something you may want to consider. Again, I think that it's perfectly legitimate. Is it something that you want to invest your time in? That's something you kind of have to ask yourself. All right. Oops. Me and my tabs, you know me. All right. Then we have a question from Meredith, and Meredith is asking, she's establishing a website for historical mysteries, and she is asking if there's specific social media platforms that are better for historical mystery writers than others. She says, my goals for a social media presence are to raise my profile, expand my brand identity as a tutor mystery writer, and let potential readers know about blog postings and start a mailing list. I think that Facebook is a great spot for you because Facebook is one of those places where there's a lot of interaction. A lot of historical readers tend to hang out on Facebook. Keep in mind that a lot of historical readers, and especially historical memories, a lot of historical mysteries tend to be read by an older subset. Typically, depending on exactly what genre you're in, you're going to be hitting those that are 35 and older. And that is the subset that's more comfortable on Facebook. So I would recommend that you concentrate on Facebook. Now, there is a lot to be said for places like Instagram if you're willing to put in the work for photos or graphics. Twitter, here's the thing with Twitter is largely an author platform, not so much a reader platform. Now, authors do read books, of course, and they make recommendations, but authors heavy on nonfiction, on writers, not necessarily readers, and there's quite a bit of sci-fi on there. So I wouldn't say that Twitter's your best spot or where I'd spend your time. I'd really focus on Facebook. You may also want to consider Pinterest. Pinterest, again, is one of those spots where you tend to see a lot of older, especially women. I believe the subset there, the most popular age group, is actually women that are between 40 and 60. So if that is your reader base, you may want to see what you can do on Pinterest. Facebook for sure, Instagram if you're willing, Pinterest. TikTok, again, here's one of those things. TikTok tends to hit a younger subset. They tend to hit more in the 15 to 30 range, but there are people that are older on TikTok. So you may hit it there, but TikTok does take a lot of time with content creation. You're looking at 3 videos a day. They're not long, but 3 videos a day in order to really get that up and rolling. So if you've got the time and you want to commit, TikTok may be where it's at, but absolutely Facebook for you is what I would personally recommend. And also consider that you can run ads on Facebook to your target audience to really draw those people in. And yes, I know there was a little note at the bottom that said, you should know I hate Facebook. I feel you, sister, I feel you. But unfortunately, there's many things that we can dislike, and we have to go where our readers are. And if that's where our readers are, then we have to find a way to work with it or decide that we're willing to work without it. So that's kind of just what it is. I say that what you do is if you decide to be on Facebook, learn how to schedule and manage your time. How can you schedule things in advance? How can you plan in advance so you're spending as little time as possible in the actual social media app or platform? That's usually my goal. I scroll through sometimes, but I like to batch plan so I don't get sucked into just sitting there or any kind of, ongoing conversations as they sometimes go. All right, Maureen, I'm having the worst time with Ingramspark. We have been going back and forth about my spine for 3 weeks. Ouch. My book launches in a week and a half, and I haven't had a print book pre-order because I can't get them to finish it. I wanted to ask if I can get a Google Play, Apple, etc., without Ingram. Well, Google Play and Apple are both ebook options. So you can absolutely do that without Ingramspark because that's all ebook or audiobook. They're digital platforms. So for your digital platforms, you can either go to each you can go to each place separately. I'm going to slow myself down. You can go to each place separately and you can create accounts at Apple, at Google Play, at Barnes & Noble, and you can upload your ebook directly to those. Or you can use an ebook or audiobook distributor like Draft to Digital is my favorite, or Findaway Voices for your audiobook, where you upload your book one spot and they distribute it out to just about everywhere. They don't cover Google Play though. So that is something to consider. As far as your print book, Barnes & Noble, we did actually talk about a couple weeks ago that Barnes & Noble does have a print option. However, it's not my favorite. I personally prefer to use Ingramspark to distribute out to Barnes & Noble because Barnes & Noble requires that you have an ISBN just for their platform, splitting your sales data, you have to have a whole new ISBN. I don't think it adds anything extra that I have discovered going through Barnes & Noble directly for their print, no special treatment that I've seen. So I personally prefer my print for Barnes & Noble and all the online retailers to go through Ingramspark. Now, as far as your spine goes, I would wonder what's going on. Are you formatting your own cover, or are you working with a cover designer who knows the specs and how to handle that? What kind of issue are you running into? Is your spine running over? Do you have a block color spine, which can be an issue? So without having more detail about what is happening with your spine. I wouldn't be able to give too much more advice, but if you let me know, then I will at least try to point you in the right direction. We all know I am no graphic designer. I do not do book files, but I have lots of friends who have great advice and who have taught me well on that design front. So I'm happy to share resources. All right, a question here about how much ahead of release date should you upload a self-published book? My release date is probably going to be near the last week in July or the second Tuesday in August. I wish to upload it to KDP and Ingram and hope to have many pre-sales. Any thoughts there? So when we are talking about when to upload your book, that's really up to you. The thing is that when you upload your book to any platform, it doesn't mean it goes live. So if your book is finished now and you have an August launch, hey, no problem. Upload it now, get a printed proof copy and get going so that you can start working on making sure everything's perfect. As far as pre-sales go, KDP for print does not do a pre-sale. As soon as you publish that book, it is live. So you cannot do KDP print pre-sale, but you can do an Amazon pre-sale through Ingramspark. So for Ingramspark, you can upload your book early at any time really, and you can put that up for pre-sale and it will populate out to Barnes & Noble, it'll populate to Ingram, to bookshop.org and IndieBound and sometimes Walmart.com and Amazon.com. So you can start doing your pre-sale there. And if you're hoping for many pre-sales, I would recommend you get your print book up sooner rather than later so you can start sending traffic that way. Now for your ebook, I don't recommend that you do a pre-sale until you are ready to drive traffic. You don't want your ebook just sitting there and tanking in the Amazon algorithms. So for an ebook, you can upload or you don't even need the file. You can set up a pre-order for your ebook on Amazon through KDP. So you can set that up. You don't even need the interior file until a couple days before your launch. You will need a cover to put up there. Some people even use a placeholder cover because you can update that throughout. But again, you don't want to put up a pre-order if you're not going to do anything with it. If you're going to drive traffic there for pre-sales, if you're going to put a link in the next book coming up in the series, something like that, that's when it makes sense. You can also do a pre-order for your ebook, either through Ingramspark or Drafted Digital for other platforms like Apple and Nook and all of those. And again, you can do that as early as you want, but think of how you're driving traffic and when it makes sense. Pre-orders for indies can be fabulous ways to kind of let people know the next book in a series is coming, or if you already have a platform and you want to drive sales to it, it can be a nice way for all of those sales to stack up so that when your book goes live, you hit bestseller lists on Amazon and different things like that. But you have to be strategic about it. Don't just throw up a pre-order, forget about it, and not really use it. If you're going to put up a pre-order, think strategically and have a plan on how you're going to use that to help launch your book. All right. All right, and then going back to Maureen's question, you've got a cover designer and a book formatter. Fabulous. I love leaning on those who are professionals in what they do. My initial problem was that I asked for cream pages and then I accidentally told them I wanted white. So that was a problem, but it still seems to not be working. So you need to make sure that your cover is formatted for whichever color you want, either cream or white. Not everyone realizes that cream paper is a little bit thicker, so it makes your spine thicker. So you need to make sure, number one, that your cover is designed for the color of paper that you want. And then you need to make sure that it's set up in the metadata. You may need to possibly delete your current listing on Ingramspark. You may need to delete it out, start from the beginning, and set your presets. They could do that for you there, but it's a lot quicker if you just do it yourself. So consider that you may want to just do a new upload or actually get on to chat with someone. Email them directly. Ingramspark does have an email. They also have an online form you can send in and let them know exactly what you want. I have this new file. I want it uploaded for cream paper with cream paper. And it will take a while because book publishing is not McDonald's. It does not come out quickly. It is something that is slow. It is something that takes time. So do expect that when you send something into Ingramspark, it can take 7 days or more. That's kind of how it works. So just keep that in mind. You can sometimes chat with them. Sometimes you have to put in a request and then they will email you and you have a direct email line with a specific rep. And then you can sometimes chat with them, or you at least are emailing back and forth with the same person so they are aware of what's going on. So I definitely think if you put in a request with them, email directly back to the person and be very specific with what you want. It is too easy when emailing to assume people know what we want or to be a little bit ambiguous. So saying, I would like this attached interior to be uploaded with this attached cover with cream paper, my page count is whatever. Almost oversimplify and over give information. All right. Do you do service help to plan launch strategy and locations when the book is ready to go? I do. Share if you just reach out to me. It's Keri@newshelves.com. I help plan strategy based on your book and your needs. Unfortunately, there's not a one size fits all in book marketing. In my opinion, I think your goals and your needs really determine what you need for your book launch. But if you reach out to me, I have this questionnaire that tells me about your book so we can plan for you. And I work with a lot of different fee structures depending on what you need. Some authors don't need a lot and some authors need a lot. So it just depends on that. So email me, Keri@newshelves.com. All right. Question about launching my second children's book. Other than the launch team, which I used for the first book, do you have any other suggestions for launching? Your thoughts on Booksprout before the book is live? Here's the thing. In NetGalley, Booksprout, any of those review sites, I think they can be wonderful. What I will caution is that if you use them too early, keep in mind that people cannot leave reviews on Amazon until the book is live. So if you're reaching out to a lot of reviewers and you're getting people to kind of start reading and reviewing the book, they can't leave a review on Amazon yet. They may be able to leave it on Goodreads. They can leave it on NetGalley. So they can leave it different places, but we know that for sales, Amazon is kind of what matters. And they can't do that yet. And if you do it too early, they forget to go over and leave a review on Amazon. I talked to a traditionally published author was it last week? It was last week, who had all of these amazing advanced reviews. Goodreads, like they had so many reviews. Their book launched and they had like 8 reviews on Amazon after several weeks. Why? Because those people who'd left reviews 4 or 5 months earlier had completely forgotten about them and they weren't going to post over on Amazon. So make sure that you don't start too early if you are going to use somewhere like Booksprout or NetGalley. And when possible, have contact information for people so you can remind them and say, you know, thank you so much. You were part of my review team and you've reviewed some time ago. Now that the book is live, would you consider leaving online reviews for retail channels? So kind of a little push, and don't start too early. For your launch team, the same thing, especially for a children's book. A children's book is something you can read and review in 30 minutes. This is not a 500-page novel that's going to take me 2 weeks to read. So make sure you're kind of planning for that. And also keep in mind that some of the programs for review are just people who are reviewing because they want to get certain, it's not payments, sorry, my mind's blinking. They want to get certain things from leaving reviews, incentives. There we go. They want to get incentives. So sometimes it'll be someone who's reviewing a children's book and then a horror novel and then a steamy romance novel. And that can play with your algorithms as far as who Amazon, specifically Amazon, is showing your book to, which can make your Amazon algorithms kind of wonky and not get you to the audience you want. So those are all things to consider. It's not anything to fear, but it is something to consider and plan for. We want to make informed decisions. So that's really a big part of it there. So I think launch teams are awesome. I think review sites like Hidden Gems and Booksprout and NetGalley are awesome, but I think that we need to be strategic in how we use them. All right. Let me go back to my emails because I know I saw one. All right, Miss Norma, I have completed a memoir and have found conflicting information on whether I need a chapter by chapter outline. One class I took said I do, and another said for a memoir, I do not. If I do need one, how in depth should it be? A one-sentence synopsis of the major thrust of the chapter, or a paragraph hitting all the information covered per chapter? Norma, I'm going to guess, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you're on the call. I'm going to guess that you mean that you've written a memoir and you are wondering if you need a chapter by chapter outline for pitching to agents or to publishers. I'm going to go with that, but if I'm wrong, tell me no. And so the thing is, you're getting conflicting information because different agents and publishers require different things. So that's what it is. I hate to tell you, my friend, but I would do both. I would say, yeah, go ahead and do that chapter by chapter outline. It will only hone your messaging and your marketing more by going through the exercise. So go through and do a simple chapter by chapter outline. Then take that outline and expand a little bit so you have both available. What you do not want to happen is that you do not want to pitch an agent and the agent's like, yeah, love it, send me the outline. And then you are scrambling at 2 a.m. to figure out what the heck you want to be in your outline, because then you are going to be rushed. It's not going to be your best work. So it's a little extra work now. It's maybe not what you want to hear, but I would absolutely get a simple outline and then a more in-depth outline available. Work on it, hone it, so that if it's requested, you have it and you don't have to worry about it. Better to be a little over prepared. Again, it's only going to help with your pitch and your messaging, and it's going to help you in the long run. Oh, look, you've already done it. Norma, you're a pro. You didn't need me. Well, I love it. I think it's good to have it. And depending on what agents typically are very specific on what they request. And so I think, you always give them what they ask for, and they will ask for different things. All right, another Ingramspark question. Let's see. My first book is currently published on Ingramspark and in distribution. My publication date is June 1st, and I have several pre-orders that have been made. Awesome. I wanted to make a minor adjustment to my interior pages. Remove a comma on one page and add a beginning quotation mark on another page, comment proofing things. It is a 50-page book. Based on an article on our website, I'm wondering how this process works with pre-orders. If I revise the interior files today with the publication date of June 1st, does that mean I cannot get the new copies until after June 1st? I'm trying to make the best decision considering the pre-order scenario. So the great news is that print on demand means that things happen, well, I said, not overnight. You have to get your files approved, but as soon as your files are up and approved through Ingramspark or through KDP, your book is being printed based on the new files. And because your book is still fairly advanced in pre-order, it's not already being printed, you shouldn't run into any issues with old copies being distributed. So you can upload your new files right now. It will not hurt your pre-order. It will not, no catastrophe. Everyone who ordered the pre-order, everyone who ordered it already, even if they pre-ordered it with those errors, if you upload the new file now, they will get the updated book with the newer files. And when you yourself are ordering through Ingramspark, you don't have to wait to get copies. You go into order, and when you go to order your book, If it's on pre-order on the order page, it will say, do you want to wait until your launch date, or do you want to bypass the launch date and order your book now? So you can just bypass that launch date and say, nope, I want my books right now. You as the author and the publisher have that access. So you can go ahead and order your books right away. You can get your printed copies even before your book launches, which is how many authors do for author events and things like that. So that is what I would suggest. Upload your new files right away, get those updated for your launch, and then order yourself copies if you want to. Do keep in mind that actually getting those printed and shipped can take several weeks, anywhere from 2 to 6, depending on how long, how many books you're ordering, and also how busy Ingramspark is. They're not, as far as I know, they're not on big print delays right now. Of course, they do closer to Christmas, but now you're pretty safe. So that is what I would recommend. Same thing for eBooks, by the way. I had that question last week as well. For an ebook file, when you upload an ebook file, how long does it take to go into effect that that's what people are getting when they order the book, the ebook? And that happens almost instantaneously because it's an ebook file. As soon as whatever platform you upload it to, KDP, Ingramspark, Drafted Digital, as soon as they accept the file and they say, hey, it's up and published on these platforms, immediately what is sent out is that new ebook file. So there's not a big wait for that either. And there's no such thing as like the old file still going out, because they don't even have that file anymore. They've updated to the new file. Can you order your own copies before launch on Amazon too? You can share, but the thing is that when you order proof copies from Amazon, actually, you give me reason to brag. I don't know if Scott's on here today, but I hope so. Let's see if he's on here. Oh, look, Scott's on here because I got a new book this week. So when you order pre-order copies from Amazon, you get proof copies. You can order up to 5 at a time, but it comes with this not for resale banner. So you can order proof copies for yourself to look at them if you really need it, but this is not something that you want to sell. It's got that not for resale banner right here. So just be aware of that. And now once your book does go up, for once it's published on KDP, meaning it's live, you can order author copies without that. That's awesome, Wendy. The not for resale banner is something they started more recently. They didn't used to, but now they do. But also a quick bragging moment on Scott Newman, and well, his mother wrote the book. But Scott has been working on this book. He's been a long time joiner here at Free Advice Friday, and I just got a copy of his book, which is for middle grade. It's on Emma's reading list. Emma just needs to start her own blog and review site because she reads all the books. So I just wanted to show you this. So this is a KDP print. You can see the really vibrant colors of the printed copy in the book here. And then you'll also see back here, if you do not add your own barcode, this is the barcode that Amazon adds. It's got the ASIN on it, not the ISBN. So it's got the ASIN if you have Amazon add their own barcode. And then you can see on the inside, these are cream pages. So cream, you probably can't even see it on here. I'm acting like you can. So there's white and there's cream. Cream is a little bit thicker, and cream is very common for fiction. White is all the rage for nonfiction, but memoir and fiction is cream. And then you can see that there are some black and white illustrations in here that turned out really nicely. And then of course the rich black that's on there. So KDP print has actually come such a long way from in the beginning. So you can order print copies. Oh, so you can see the cream. I should have like compared it to something white, but I have nothing right here except for like a notebook that if I try to pick up is going to drop 50 things. Anyway, Scott and his mom's book by NJ Newman is coming out soon, and way to go. We love to cheer on the people that join us here. And I know Scott has been feeling his way through publishing with us here at Free Advice Friday for quite some time. about a year now, I think. So you have certainly learned the trade and come a long way. Congratulations. All right, I read recently, listing your podcast interview on Harrow is a great way to get backlinks and free marketing from the mainstream media. Does this mean that there are ways to share episodes on, say, one on Harrow's profile? I don't know, Cheryl. I do use Harrow, which is Help a Reporter Out, where you can kind of submit to like be a source or to be interviewed by different people in the media, everything from like Medium articles to like New York Times articles can be put up there. So that can be a really great way, especially for nonfiction authors, to establish their credibility in the market. But as far as backlinking to your podcast, I've not heard of that. I'm going to go research it now. But I haven't heard of that specifically. So that's a good question. If anyone else knows and you are on the call, feel free to share your information. Yes. Let's see. Yeah, if you do follow up with the person who said that, Cheryl, let me know what he's talking about. It's good to know stuff, as my high school English teacher said, and that's the motto I live by. Good to know stuff. All right, I think I have one more question. I do. This question came by way of Kim and Valerie, and the question was about discount books on Amazon, how it works, and can you stop it? So if your book is on Amazon, I'm sorry, yes, if it's on Amazon and it's constantly showing discounted, typically this is for your print book. Why? Why is it showing discounted? And can you stop it? I want my book at full price because I want it to not seem discounted or devalued. So the first thing is that Amazon discounts books for a number of reasons. They may discount your book because your topics with your keywords are trending, and they want to see if they discount your book, if your book will start to sell more, keeping in mind they keep a portion of the profit. So what happens is they discount the book to see if it gets more interest. They may even up you on the algorithms. And then depending on if it sells or not, they may slowly start hiking that price back up, or they may keep that price down. They may be banking on the fact that if they sell more quantity of your book, that they will make more than if they make more profit per book. Because when Amazon discounts your book, it is the same as Walmart doing a discount on a vacuum or the grocery store doing a discount on grapes. It is the retailer's discount. The retailer is the person who takes the hit, not the author, not the publisher. So if my book is listed on Amazon at $12.99, but my retail price is $16.99, I'm still making the same exact royalty. What the discount is coming from is from Amazon. Amazon's taking that $4 hit and taking less profit, but they are banking on selling more copies of the book and making more profit because they're selling more quantity than making that extra $4 and maybe only selling a copy or two. So that's one reason why Amazon will discount your book, is because your topic is trending and they think that your book may sell if they discount it and up it in the algorithms a little bit. Another reason why they may sell your book is or discount your book is they may see that a lot of people are visiting your book site, but people are not buying your book. So they're visiting the sales page of your book, but you're not converting those sales. And so Amazon's little bot algorithms, again, this is not like Tony Tony in the office going, yo, I think that if we discount this book, it's going to go. That's not how it works. Like, there are these little computer bots, and they are the algorithms are the ones discounting the book. So if that happens, if people are visiting your sales site, but they are not actually clicking the buy button, sometimes Amazon's little bots are like, wonder if we discounted the book a little bit, if we would get the sale. There's traffic on the site. Could we possibly make more money and get more sales? So they'll try a temporary discount. Sometimes that discount is not so temporary. Sometimes they're like, well, we sell a lot of books when it's discounted, so we're just going to keep it discounted. I had one client's book discounted for almost a year, and she sold, I mean, she was selling 10 copies or more a day of this book, and they kept it discounted for almost an entire year. So she went with it. She's like, hey, Amazon's running a sale, go get the book there. The last reason, well, the last reason I'm going to talk about that Amazon may discount your book is that they need more warehouse space, especially if your book is being distributed through Ingramspark. Keeping in mind that with KDP, if your book's on print on demand, the book is printed and shipped immediately from Amazon. They may keep stock in their warehouse, but not often. Whereas if it's Ingramspark, they are ordering a carton of books, they're keeping it in their warehouse, and they are shipping those books out as the orders come in through Amazon. And it may be that they have either a large stock of your books that they need to get off of their shelves, or they need to make warehouse space. A lot of authors, a lot of products in general go on big discounts right around the August timeframe. And the reason for that is Amazon is clearing out their warehouse to stock up on big items for Christmas and for Black Friday. So they are going to move those books out because they know that they're going to have TV sales and whatever big electronics or big items, kids' toys are going to sell a lot around Christmas time. They are making more room on their shelves for those big items and getting rid of some of the things they don't think will either sell as well or aren't as high ticket. Even if your book sells well, your book is not making them as much money as a TV is. So sometimes that's what happens. Again, do we have control over it? Unfortunately, no, because it's the retailer making that discount and taking the hit. So again, what I personally do is I roll with it. I'm like, hey, that's awesome. Amazon's discounting my book. You should go grab it now before that discount goes off. I don't know when it's going to go off. Amazon did it. And then you just kind of let it lie. And it is what it is. It doesn't mean that your book's not worth it. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with your book. It is just the little Amazon algorithm bobs doing what they're trained to do, which is to make Amazon as much money as possible. So hopefully that makes more sense. And hopefully you can just know it's not you. You did nothing wrong and you really don't have control either way. Yeah, who knew, right? All the weird background stuff you just don't know about retailers. All right. You mentioned cream paper. How do you choose paper, and is there a difference in cost? So there's not a difference in cost between the basic papers of white, cream, and on Ingramspark, there's also groundwood. I think it's groundwood, which is like that thinner mass market type paper. There's no difference in cost there. Now, if you are doing a picture book or a color book, you can do heavier paper, premium paper, and that is more expensive. But basic of white, cream, or groundwood, whatever it is the same. And how do you choose the paper? It really depends on your book and your genre. Again, if you were writing fiction, you typically want to have cream paper because it's that kind of fiction feel. If you have a nonfiction book, typically you're going to go with white. If you have a memoir, it's kind of, memoirs are like that thing where it's like a story like fiction, but then it's true. That typically goes into cream as well. Also the color of your cover. If your cover is mostly white, you do not want cream paper because it's going to look dirty. So sometimes you'll have those kind of things, but a rule of thumb, cream paper is for fiction and white paper is for nonfiction. And then that groundwood color, which I hope I'm saying it right, or else I'm going to go off later and be like, yeah, that's not wrong. But that other color from Ingramspark, that's the thinner paper. When do you use that? Well, you use that if your book has a ton of pages. If you've got a 600-page book and it's like too thick and too heavy. If you're giving kids carpal tunnel, that actually happened with Harry Potter, by the way. The books were so big and so heavy that kids were like getting carpal tunnel from reading them. You may want to choose that paper because it's thinner. It's going to make the book lighter, thinner. It's going to make it easier to handle and less of a spine. The other reason why you'd use that paper is because it's very popular in mass market paperback. So if you are trying to do a mass market size or to mimic a mass market paperback, then you would not only want to mimic the size, you want to mimic the paper type, which is going to be that thinner paper. Let's see, on KDP, should you enable DRM on the Kindle ebook? Should you allow lending of KDP for 14 days? Well, let's do DRM first. So DRM is simply like a internal lock. Let's call it a lock on your ebooks. Should you enable that digital lock on your book? I usually recommend no, and let me tell you why. If someone really wants to get around that lock, they can do it in a snap. It is not hard. They do it quickly. If it is an actual user, they're not supposed to have any problems. If they bought your book, they're not supposed to have any problems with DRM. However, depending on the device they're using to read your book on, depending on if it's had the latest updates, if there's any kinks in the updates, if it's an outdated device, you may have a Kindle from 2009 that still works. You may have some customers who have problems with your files, and that's very frustrating for your reader. So you're getting not really that much security in your frustrating readers potentially. For me, that's not worth it. Also, keep in mind that if you have a book that is going through something like overdrive or something for libraries, it may cause issues there as well. And it keeps readers from using it on multiple devices. So in a way, it's there to protect authors and publishers. But what it actually earns you, in my opinion, is so small in comparison to possibly frustrating even one reader. Do you want one bad review because of a lock that wasn't, it's like having a lock on a screen door, but having the glass up. If someone really wants to come and cut your screen and unlock the door, that's what they're going to do. So I think that it's not something I personally recommend. I don't think that it's that much protection, and it's not worth it to me personally to frustrate or anger any potential readers. So I recommend no. Personal decision, but that's my thought and opinion on it. As far as lending on KDP, again, that's up to you. Do you want more access? Do you want more possibility of people reading and sharing? Typically, we see lending available for higher priced books. You're going to pay $9.99 for an ebook, then yeah, go ahead and share it out. Because if I buy a $14.99 paperback, I can share it with 5 people if I want to, one at a time, of course, but that's kind of the idea. So personal decision there. But if you're going with a higher price book, I would go with the 14 days lending. But again, personal decision. I think as authors, authors and publishers, we have to tread that fine line of making profit and making maximum profit, but also being like, hey, this is a book and we want it to be shared, and how much frustration is it worth? Also, think about yourself. Think about how many books you have personally shared on KDP recently. I use KDP. I don't use KDP. I use Kindle. I have been reading on Kindle for years. I might maybe have shared one book. More often than not, I just tell people, hey, I read this book and it was awesome. You should check it out. I'm not actually sharing it. So I think it's one of those things. People are like, I don't want it to get overused and I'll lose so many sales. But the truth is, most people are not really lending your books out that much. In, again, my personal opinion, very humble, of course. So a personal decision, as always. That's my 2 cents. Take it for what it's worth. All right, I've been asked to join in and go to Vegas to a mall for a multi-author book signing, a small $10 fee, a good thing. How do I gauge how many books to take? Number one, super awesome. I know that's closer for you. So I personally would jump on that. A $10 fee for an author event, that is absolutely awesome, Trina. And if you have the time, if the travel's not too expensive and you've got the $10 fee up front, I would go for it. Personally, how many books do you take? Well, if you're driving, I would make sure to bring up, I would bring personally a box or two of books, because you would really hate to run out. If you're flying or something like that, typically you want to take 25, 30 books, enough so that you can put them out on your table and it not feel empty. Worst case scenario, you sell out, and man, isn't that a good feeling? And you can always give people your information. But if you're driving, it always helps to have more stock in the car. You don't want them all out. You don't want to look like you've got an excess of books, but put them out on your little table spot and keep some in your trunk so that you can go run and grab them if you need them. I think that's awesome. I don't know what event that is, but I think it sounds like a good opportunity. Yes, and Valerie is saying she found it very helpful to study comp titles for paper type, color, book trim size, list price. And I absolutely agree, Valerie. Always look at your marketing comps. It is really important, though, when looking at comps, that you are looking at both big trade publishers and indie publishers, because there is a vast difference. So look at both of them and look at books that have been published in the past year. Even if it's an exact comp to yours, even if you're like, wow, this is a good comp. If it was written 5 years ago, it's outdated. So make sure that when you're looking at comps, you're looking at comps published in the last year. When do you choose to do a hardback book, and what's the process? That's up to you. Hardcover now is available through KDP. It's available through Ingramspark. So many people choose to do a hardcover because it's not that much work. It can often be the same interior, and it's just a new or updating your cover wrap for a hardcover or doing a jacket. So many people go ahead and do a hardcover. Know that in most cases, hardcovers are not our best sellers. Ebooks and paperbacks are. Hardcovers sell in certain genres, like young adult fantasy, very popular, but those covers tend to be like pieces of artwork. Books that are used over and over, like textbooks, or books that are used, cookbooks, because they're pulled out and used and reused. Poetry, because it's giftable. Anything that's giftable can do really well in hardcover, because when you're giving a gift, there's something about a hardcover that's like, I love you enough to get you hardcover. Not that paperback is bad. It just, hardcover is like, I went that extra mile. And it's like, I put the bow on the wrapping, which I never do. Love everyone very much, but I'm a horrible wrapper, both with paper and wrapping. Eminem and I, not quite on his level yet. So when you choose to do it, it's up to you. It doesn't usually incur very much cost, which is when people do hardcover. If it's a craft or hobby book, if it's a book that will be used again and again, or it's giftable children's books because they get some wear and tear, that's when you might want to do a hardcover book. Or if you're doing it for a special thing, if you're doing a GoFundMe or something and you want different levels of gifting available to your supporters, that's when you might consider it. Yes, I love you enough to give you a hardcover. I love it. All right, how much delay is there between a sale on Amazon and the reports? My mom tells me that 10 friends have purchased her book, but my reports only show 5. Have friends fibbed? Let me share a little secret with you. Friends do fib. Here's the thing. A lot of times people say, oh yeah, I'll get your book. And they totally intend to. They totally intend to order the book. And maybe they forgot and they didn't order the book. Or they're not really going to order the book, or they ordered it in ebook, or they're not ordering from Amazon. They're ordering from Barnes & Noble, which comes from Ingramspark. So authors see a lot of both. A lot of, yeah, I'm totally going to get your book. send me the link, and people just forget, or they don't actually buy the book, or in some cases they've ordered from different places and you're just not seeing all the sales. Do know that Amazon does typically report day by day, but they have a disclaimer that some of the reports can be delayed by 3 days or more. So sometimes you will see some changes that are kind of backdated. And also know for both KDP and Ingramspark, orders show up when the book is printed and shipped. They do not necessarily show up on the day of the order. So if I order a book today, but it's not printed and shipped until tomorrow or Sunday, then that's when it'll show up on the report. So sometimes there is a little bit of a delay there. And then sometimes very well-intentioned friends just didn't actually order. We have a little bit of both. And like I said, friends always, I think they always mean well, but sometimes they just forget. They don't realize that authors are like checking to like, oh, did you really order? Did you? And sometimes they simply forget. It happens to the best of us. I forget things all the time. So maybe a little bit of both. Same thing with reviewing. I don't know, as you work towards reviews, authors realize that when you ask for a review and people are like, yeah, I'll leave a review, and then no reviews come in. That happens often as well, especially when we're asking family or friends who maybe are not as excited about books as us, if they're not readers, if they're not authors. Again, they have these great intentions, but they don't realize how much it really means, and they just don't get around to it, or they didn't read it, so they don't feel like they can review it, or they're overwhelmed by the review process and they're afraid of saying the right thing or not saying the right thing, which is why I actually created a YouTube video. If you go to our YouTube channel and type in review, I created a step-by-step guide on how to leave a review on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, including how to write a review. I have a 3-step process. When writing a review, all you need is 3 sentences. And that is, did you like the book? Okay, 1 sentence. What was your favorite part? 2nd sentence. Then, would you recommend the book? 3rd sentence. So smush them together. I loved this book. My favorite part was the whimsical characters and colorful cover. Highly recommended for young kids age 8 to 11. That's a fantastic review. So sometimes it's simply like fear of having to write like a term paper for a review or saying the wrong thing. So if you do have people who are willing to write reviews but are kind of hesitating, those YouTube videos may be helpful for you. And again, you can just find them at youtube.com/newshelfsbooks. When you upload the book, do you need to know HTML or code for the description or other reasons? No, great news, Share, is you used to have to type in and do the HTML and code for a Amazon book description. However, Amazon and KDP have updated since then, and now they have this cool formatter that's a lot like a Word document where you can, you highlight what you need and you hit bold, you hit italics, and it does the code for you. That updated, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, and it was awesome because I hate HTML code. I did it, but I hated it. So now it's super easy and user friendly. So you don't need to know any of that. All right, and our last question from Pat. I intend to publish my children's ebook and paperback on KDP and the hardcover on Ingramspark. What is the sequence of uploading to these platforms? What goes first, KDP or Ingramspark? So the good news, Pat, is that there is no you must upload here or here first. A couple of years ago, there was a glitch in the system where if you uploaded to, I don't remember which one it was. I think if you uploaded to Ingramspark first, KDP was blocking your ISBN, but it might have been switched. But there was a switch, which technically they're not supposed to or allowed to do. So that was fixed. So it doesn't matter where you upload first, you can upload simultaneously. I often upload files on KDP, Ingramspark, and Drafty Digital all on the same day. I block out my time and get her done. So you can absolutely just upload them. It doesn't really matter. Just keep in mind that KDP print cannot be a pre-order. When you hit that publish button, that thing has gone live. Ingramspark can be set up in advance and can be set for a pre-order. So just keep that in mind that you can activate that pre-order for Ingramspark for both the hardcover and your paperback if you choose to do that. So no particular order anymore. Hallelujah. I love when these sites start to behave, get along, and make it easier for authors and publishers. All right, you guys, it's 11 o'clock. I've got another meeting I've got to run to. It was so good to be back with you this week. I hope you'll join us next week. Again, join us live, newshelves.com/FAF, 10 a.m. Eastern. Every Friday. You can also email in questions in advance to info@newshelves.com, especially if those questions are a little bit more complex. It gives me time to research if need be. Thank you so much, all of you, and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.